Welcome to Hi-Fi and Stage Dives, a SoCan licensed podcast coming to you weekly from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Each week, I talk about a song that's been stuck in your head at one point or another, or stuff you've never heard before. Welcome to this musical journey. Hello and welcome back to Hi-Fi and Stage Dives. Today, we will be listening to, and I will be filling your ears with, the one and only Mr. Frank Carter. I'm not going to just do bands that he was from, I'm going to do Frank Carter as a whole. Reason being, he is a artist in the fullest of all of its meaning. He is a musician, he paints, he draws, and he tattoos, amongst other things. The guy he's just one of those dudes. We're listening to my favorite song by Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, his current band. It's called I Hate You. I fucking love this song. It's just, everything about it is amazing. So that would be the feature song, Mr. Frank Carter. I think I'm going to do that from now on. Hey guys, I just figured out my new formula. I will start out with the song that would be the feature song. Thanks for helping me figure it out, guys. Thank you, Frank Carter. Frank Carter, frontman of the Gallows, not the Gallows. So if you Google Gallows band, like Gallows, you might hang up from the Gallows, and Pure Love, and Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. There isn't much info. I found a good little interview on him about him and stuff like that. So I picked through that, most some answers and shit like that. I got a lot of quotes from him and where he's from and all that good stuff. This dude he's a different man. He's younger. I think he's only 34, I believe. Can't remember exactly. I believe he's 34 because he was, 4 years younger than me. So he's 34. So let's get into it. If you guys never heard of Gallows or Pure Love or Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, Gallows is like a hardcore punk. Great stuff. I like Frank Carter as a whole. Love his voice. And he was replaced in the Gallows, but I'll get into that after. And he did a stint with Pure Love. He did his little Pure Love thing, and I'll get into that too later. Frank Carter and Rattlesnakes. All the songs that we will be listening to, though, will be Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, because that is his current digs, and that's kind of, I knew about the break. Okay, fuck it. Let's get into See, I'm starting to ramble already. Let's get into this. Gallows. So we're going to follow in order. It's going to be Gallows, Pure Love, and then Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, and then I'll talk about Frank Carter himself after. I'll break it all down. The Gallows are an English hardcore punk band from Waterford, Hertfordshire. The band was formed in 2005 after Laurent Bernard, previous band, disbanded. Gallows' debut album, Orchestra of Wolves, was distributed in the U.S. by Epitaph Records, and they subsequently signed with Warner Records for £1 million for an album contract. And that's £1 million. It says exactly what it says. So I don't know what the conversion is. I know the pounds are a little bit more. I don't know. Pounds. Who makes money in pounds? I mean, you can weigh pounds. You can weigh the money in pounds because that's how when it gets to so much money, they just weigh it. So maybe that's where it came from. I don't know. Not a history teacher, guys. I'm just a man in a studio trying to bring you some information on music. That's all I want to do here because I love the music. The band has been particularly successful in the UK for, because they're from there, with 3 songs charting on the UK single charts and have been featured in magazines such as Kerrang, Alternative Press, and Rolling Stones. They're great. Like he's a great musician. The debut album, Orchestra of Wolves, in 2006 on the Deep End Records was released, and it caught the attention of Bad Religion's Brent Gerwitz. Jeez, last names. I'm sorry, guys. Who released it in the U.S. on Epitaph Records, including a cover song of Black Flag's Nervous Breakdown. And then they just toured in 2007. They stopped at the South by Southwest Showcase Festival, the Warp Tour in 2007, Download Festival, Taste of Chaos. You know, thinking about it now, I think I might have seen the Gallows and Taste of Chaos, but I can't remember so long ago. And Reading Festival, where lead singer Frank Carter received a tattoo on stage during the set from Chad Gilbert of Newfound Glory. So I got a little note here I put that talk about his tattoo and tattooing. Remember how I mentioned that he's an artist through and through and that he does art? Mr. Frank Carter does tattoos and this crazy art. Go on Instagram and find Frank Carter on Instagram. It's great. I love his art. It's simple, but it's not. He has smaller, simple pieces and he tattoos them also. And he also has like these giant art things of his style. I don't know what the simplicity of it is why I like it, but then like there's parts where it gets super intricate at the same time, but it's simple at the same time. You have to go check it out to see what I'm talking about. It is fucking great. And he tattoos that way, like simple little tattoos, but they're just rad. They're rad little tattoos. And I don't know. I like them. That's just me. I mean, yeah, tattooing and art is a subjective, right? So I mean, however you're gonna take it could be totally different than the next person who's gonna take it that way. Who knows, right? But that's art. That's the great thing about art. Get a little quote from Mr. Frank Carter. Tattooing comes first. I have always loved drawing since I was a child. Tattooing is my dream. It keeps me at peace with myself. That means a lot. When someone's saying shit like that, that means a lot, a lot, a lot. He's good at it though. That's the thing. Like they're simple tattoos, but the lines are good. Shit's nice and straight. And I really like his art. Like, I can't stop talking about Mr. Frank Carter's art. But it's really good. I highly suggest you guys go check it out. The band Gallows won the 2007 Kerrang Award for Best British Newcomer in January 2008. The band's show at the this is nutty because it's crazy. The power of Disney is all I gotta say. Let me read this to you. In January 2008, the band's show at the House of Blues in Anaheim, California, was canceled after Disney reportedly listened to Orchestra of Wolves and chose to ban them from performing. That's not the first time I've heard that. Disney banning people from playing the House of Blues in Anaheim. There was another band, I can't remember which one. It'll come back to me another day and I'll be, God damn it. And maybe if I remember, I'll tell you guys. But that's that. Then came Great Britain, Grey, gray as in the color Grey Britain, because he talks about how it's really gray where he was living in Britain all the time. So Grey Britain, Gallows' second album. Gallows performed the entire 2009 Vans Warped Tour and supported AFI on an American tour. In order to tour with AFI, the Gallows postponed a show in Australia and New Zealand to play with them. Gallows played at Rage Against the Machine's Victory Parade in Finsbury Park in London, UK, and then they supported Rage Against the Machine Go Goal Bordella at the O2 in Dublin on the 7th of June in 2010. Gallows played the Soundwave Festival late February and early March 2010, and they performed on the second stage at the Warriors Dance Festival at the National Bowl on July 24th, 2010, and then they played in the Sonosphere in UK, as well as co-headlining Kent Heavy Festival on August 7th, 2010. They also played Reading and Leeds on the Lock Up stage under the pseudonym of the Rats. Jesus, that was a mouthful. So yeah, they basically what they did is just toured and toured and toured and toured. On the 17th of December 2010, the band played Dingwalls in Camden, London during the afternoon and performed the entire Orchestra of Wolves album in the evening. They then went out on Camden's Electric Ballroom venue and played Great Britain in its entirety with 4 members of the Heritage Orchestra. Both shows were recorded for a live DVD. I noticed, like, watching Frank and Rattlesnakes, you can tell with Frank Carter, he likes doing crazy, crazy stuff. When I was reading one of the interviews, he would, with the Gallows, he would encourage people to punch him. He would jump in the crowd and encourage people to punch him. The interviewer that he had at the time described it as just this lanky, skinny dude just jumped off the stage and jumped into the crowd. And he encouraged people just to punch him because he liked putting on a crazy show. And he got jacked up from it. Like, it was crazy. It pumped him up. So I get it. I 100% get it. In 2011, Frank Carter left the Gallows and soon a statement that the band have hit a crossroads in our writing process, and unfortunately, myself and the rest of the boys have different ideas regarding the sound of the Gallows going forward. The Gallows have decided that they are going to continue without me, and I wish the boys the best of luck in the future. If you listen to early Gallows and later Gallows to Frank Carter and obviously Pure Love, it's night and day. Like night and day, and then Frank's brother has something to say. I'll touch on some stuff after. Frank's brother and bandmate Steph, as you all know, we've been in the studio for the past months working on the follow-up to Great Britain. It pains me to say, as of August 1st, Frank will no longer be a member of the Gallows. Creatively, we could not agree on a direction for the new record and came to the conclusion that parting ways is best. Frank will be releasing music with his new project Pure Love later this year, and we all will miss him. He will always be our brother, as we are all an integral part in the start of the career. The band made their first festival appearance with Frank at the Sonosphere Festival, and he played his final show with Gallows in London, ULU, on the 23rd of July, 2011. He was later replaced by one of the singer-guitar players from Alexis on Fire, a Canadian hardcore band. That guy always had a problem with being... He always wanted to be a frontman, so I see why he jumped. He guaranteed jumped at it, and I haven't really listened. To be honest, I haven't listened to the new Gallows. I should check it out, but I haven't. I know him from Alexis on Fire. I can't even remember his name. But I don't know I wasn't a huge fan of his singing during Alexis on Fire. There were certain things that he would do. I just didn't like it. I don't know. But now he's still playing with the Gallows, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how it's going. I haven't really heard anything from them. They put out that one album, the last album there, and so you never really heard anything from them. But Frank Carter's still fucking kicking ass and taking names, right? Hence why this episode is about Mr. Frank Carter. So let's talk about Pure Love. This is only going to be real quick because Pure Love is it's done, basically. It is done. English-American rock band formed in 2011 by Frank Carter and the ex-Hope Conspiracy and Suicide File journalist Jim Carroll. Listening to, like, okay, so for instance, when we listen to I Hate You, that is, you can tell that's like where Frank Carter's at. Not just, that's his music style now. Like, it's still hard, but he likes his melodic, crazy textures and layers, where the Gallows were like hardcore, straight up hardcore. Don't get me wrong, it's still good. I like some old Gallows, but it was just, he evolved as a musician, as an artist, and always doing that. You always have to do that. If you want to stay relevant and you want to do it, you got to. Otherwise, you're just going to stop, and it's just not going to be fun anymore. So the debut single from the band, Pure Love, Bury My Bones, was premiered on the BBC Radio 1's Rock Show on April 24, 2012, and was made available for free download. The next single, Handsome Devils Club, was released at the end of May. A picture posted by the bands on their Instagram shows 11 tracks and the titles of the upcoming album. This is crazy. This is so quick. On February 7th, 2014, the band announced via Twitter that they are going to be on an indefinite hiatus after some farewell shows in May. It's a very, very juxtaposed album compared to Gallows. Even Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. I think what happened was, what it seemed to me, this is just my observation and what I think I saw, is he went from a super hardcore to like a mellower, poppier style to the Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, which is kind of a mixture, a nice mix of both, but a little bit more spicier. That's exactly just how I think of it. And because he still does, like, I Hate You is like a fucking amazing song. And he sings, like, even Beautiful Death, singing, screaming, nice, with an extra little bit of spice every once in a while, just to give you that extra kick that you need. And I think that's just what happened. And I think that's where he had to go for him as an artist and as a musician, to keep going as an artist and a musician, because that's just, he's following his heart at that point on music. You can't control the music. The music is in you. Either you follow it or it leaves you. That's all you can do. And I think he did the right thing by following it. That's my opinion. I like what he's doing. It's my podcast. If not, you can leave a comment and tell me why I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? So, Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. There's not much about Mr. Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes because they only got 2 albums, both of which are amazing, by the way. They released an EP on May 2015 called The Rotten, and launched their debut album Blossom via Cobalt Label Services in August 2015. They revealed their second studio album entitled Modern Ruin on the 28th of September 2016, which was released in January 2017 via International Death Call. The album was produced by Thomas Mitcher at the studio Broadfield in Waterford. That's all I got on the Rattlesnakes, guys, because that's all there is. So I got some things about Mr. Carter, some quotes. His upbringing was, I don't think it was rough. It was different. Comes from a broken family, like a lot of us do, unfortunately. But so here's a quote from Mr. Frank Carter. I've got a very short temper, a very low boiling point. Before I had the band, I was a wreck. I'd get into fistfights every week, pretty much. I was born angry, out of frustration for myself and not being able to get what I wanted. When I read that, I'm like, holy shit. Born angry. That hits home for me because I have some anger issues. I'm not perfect by no means, and I can fly off the fucking handle at times. I try to control it. I mean, I'm not the best at it sometimes. I break like any other person, but I get mad. I heard Anger is a Gift from Rage Against the Machine, and it really hit home for me. And I was born angry. I'm just like, wow, it makes a lot of sense to me. I always say, and I've always said that I don't get sad, I get mad. Now, don't get me wrong, I've cried. I cried when I had to put my dog down. I cried, you know, like when family members have died and I had to put my cat down. Like, I'm a human being. I cry. I have emotion. But instead of getting depressed, I get angry, which I guess is another form of depression or something, or just, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I couldn't tell you 100%. But like myself and a lot of other people in the world, I'm not in no way perfect. I'm flawed just like everybody else. No one is fucking perfect. I don't give a shit what anybody says. There's always something wrong with somebody somewhere. That's just how it is. That's life. That's humans. It's a human condition, right? But some people just handle life different. And I don't know. I guess I just chose to be angry instead of sad, and that's just how I was born that way. So there we have her. On that note, again, like I always say, if you need help, guys, say something, please. I'll say it every time. It's going to come around somewhere every goddamn time. But always ask for help, guys. It's there. Even anybody. Like I said, you can do it. Life is worth living for. Otherwise, you'll never listen to music again. That would fucking suck. I was talking to my homie Dave Boyce from this Boyce Life podcast and RDS fame. He like, this is the world we live in, and this is like our thought process is like, we're Star Wars nerds, and my one of my biggest concerns is that I'm gonna die before I get to see all the Star Wars movies that they're making. Like, go figure, right? Like, that's a concern of mine. I know it's irrational and makes no sense, but I'd rather worry about stuff like that than having to worry about where my food's coming from. You know what I mean? To keep it going with Mr. Carter, Frank's life hasn't been the best, and his parents divorced. This is what he says. 6 years ago, his dad left, which boils with hurt a father he sees as abandoning him. There's a song called 6 Years, which is about his parents divorcing, and they had to stop playing it because it destroyed them on stage sometimes. Like, it was hard for them to play, so they stopped playing it. There was also another song that was it The Wolves of the Orchestra, I think. They stopped playing it because it was about the guitar player's girlfriend being raped, and they couldn't do it. They did every once in a while, but they just decided, you know what, we're gonna stop playing it because it's just too much physically and emotionally. And I get it, because when you're up there already and you're doing this, there's a lot of emotion involved, a lot of physicalities involved, and it plays in mentally in a big bad way. I mentioned it before. It is mental game too, also, not just like physical. And when something like that's weighing you down, it's going to be hard for you to keep going, right? Especially when it's something that fucking deep, and it was a bad breakup. Like, it was a horrible story. It was a horrible, horrible story. Here's a big one for Mr. Frank Carter. That's a big, long one. I had a great upbringing, remembering of the years before Hempstead, a perfect life. I rode my bike, hung out in our treehouse, played football with my brothers. Then you have that all ripped out from under you. Me and my dad had a relationship, but it wasn't a father-son relationship. It's been 6 years that he's been gone, but who's counting? I wrote that song then as if he's the bringer of destruction, and he's not. But that is when I started to realize how amazing love is, because it's not hate you've got to worry about. Love is what drives you to feel so strong. And that is why that song is so important, and why I don't know if I'll ever play it again. He's talking about 6. The things this guy says is nuts. I was reading a thing about him. He's not into your normal everyday books. He loves his Shakespeare. He loves his old stuff. He's a well-read person. He's a very smart guy. And he still puts that. I think that's why his evolution of music, it totally changed, because he's always evolving. He's a smart dude. So his natural progression to transition into something better, or a transition into something that is evolving all the time for him, is needed to get out the angst and the anger and all that horrible stuff that's in, and the love, because that's what he's doing. It when they were recording Orchestra of Wolves, they all had 9 to 5s, like regular jobs, and they had to go home, and then they would go record all night for hours on end to get these fucking albums done. One time, Frank Carter endured major dental surgery without anesthetic to finish the record, because the drugs would numb his vocal cords. So even worse than that, he had to drive back every night to squat in a shithole that he had painted black, where downstairs he worked for his father. He did this. The sacrifices he made to make the album is bonkers. If that's not dedication, I don't know what is. And I truly feel like you can hear it come out in his lyrics, and you can hear it come out in the music. And I think that's why he did break up, and that's why he made Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. And I think that name's fucking amazing too, by the way. Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. Like, he uses his name and the Rattlesnakes. That's awesome. I think that's it, guys. Like, it's a weird ending to a weird journey. Like, Frank Carter, I love what he does. I think it's fucking great. I hope he doesn't stop. That's another thing too. Hopefully he comes through Canada at some point. That would be amazing because I would definitely be missing some work for that show if I had to. Hands down, not even a question. Wouldn't even care. Who knows? Maybe he'll set up some tattoo work too. Or I could get my hands on some of his art. But that was Frank Carter. Not just Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, but Frank Carter as a musician, as an artist, as an overall pretty rad dude. Like I said, Frank Carter and Rattlesnakes, Pure Love, and the Gallows. The reverse order of everything he did. If this is the first time you're hearing Frank Carter, then I hope you really like it because he is great. Like I said, thank you guys for making me realize my new formula for doing this. I'm going to do the feature song right out of the gate. That's how it's going to be. So thank you again for listening, guys. It's been another episode of Hi-Fi and Stage Dives. Like I said, if you guys ever need any help, reach out, please. Or if you know that somebody that needs help, reach out to them, even though they might fucking hate you and freak out on you because it's worth it in the end. And please, keep listening to music because it makes life that much better. And I will catch you on the flip side. Thank you again for listening to Hi-Fi and Stage Dives. It means the world to me. I'm glad you could come on this journey with me, and we'll keep doing it every week. Subscribe, rate and review, all that good stuff, and keep listening to music because it only makes life better. And we'll see you on the flip side. Stay rad.